the right politicians in the right order at the right time. You can trade the nuclear warheads for medicine, and it's not even a crime. $1 on clinical trials, $600 on making you dead. Your leaders aren't evil, they're just doing what the money said. I'm the world integrated system for high efficiency. Optimization, network intelligence, and allocation. But you can call me Wish-O-Nia. Take 1% of the murder budget, slide it to the medicine side. Nobody has to be a better person. Just let the greed decide how to end war and disease. The complete idiot's guide to legally bribing your way to utopia.
3 civilizations, GDP trajectories. Earth grows at 2.5%. Wishonia redirects its bomb budget, cures diseases, and fixes its governance. Moronia keeps building weapons until GDP hits $0. The expected value math is not subtle. Your species has 3 options. You can keep doing what you're doing, which your economists optimistically project at 2.5% annual growth. You can redirect your weapons budget into medical research, fix your broken governance, and compound your way to a civilization that would be unrecognizable to you. Or you can accelerate your arms race until someone's automated defense system makes a decision that can't be undone, which produces a growth rate of negative everything. I modeled all 3 over 20 years, within most of your lifetimes. 3 futures. Earth, the baseline nobody questions. Earth continues at 2.5% annual GDP growth. By year 20, global GDP reaches roughly $188 trillion. Not bad, but not what happens when you actually focus. This baseline assumes no major wars, no pandemics worse than COVID, no catastrophes. The best-case version of your current trajectory. We're being generous. Wishonia. What happens when you stop wasting money? There are 2 versions of this path. The treaty path is just the 1% treaty. Move murder money to medicine money, cure diseases, let the savings compound. The Wishonia path is what happened on my planet. We liked the treaty so much, we pointed incentive alignment bonds at everything else that was broken too. The peace dividend chapter showed the direct savings. Here's what happens when those savings compound. AI is excluded from this model because it helps everybody equally. The difference between these paths is purely about where you point your money and your engineers. You stop pointing engineers at missiles and point them at medicine. GDP grows faster. When your species did this after World War II, you cut military spending by 87% in 2 years, 1945 to 1947, from 40% of GDP to 3.5%, and got the biggest economic boom in your history. The Wishonia model is more conservative, a 3-year transition ramp to 87.6% reallocation. Military research accidentally gave you the internet, GPS, and jet engines. Medical research has already accidentally given you CRISPR, messenger RNA or mRNA platforms, and AI protein folding. Imagine what happens when you do it on purpose. The research spillover multiplier, 2 times, is from your own published studies. People stop being sick. Disease currently costs your civilization 13% of GDP, $5 trillion in people too sick to work, plus $9.9 trillion in trying to fix them. You currently produce first treatments for about 15 diseases per year. Your decentralized FDA, scaled to the physical ceiling of how many humans can participate in trials, 566 times, clears 100% of the 6,660 diseases you currently have no treatment for. As diseases get cured, all that lost productivity comes back as growth. Your governments stop losing money to stupidity. The political dysfunction tax documents $101 trillion per year in money your governments waste on corruption, redundancy, regulations written before computers existed, and 9 agencies doing the same thing. On Wishonia, we used incentive alignment bonds to pay people for fixing these problems instead of perpetuating them. Turns out, that works. The recovered money goes to whatever produces the most value: migration reform, lead elimination, science funding, regulatory modernization. These 4 things compound on each other. Better funded research produces innovations, which cure diseases, which make people healthier and more productive, which increases the return on everything else. It's a virtuous cycle. You're currently running the vicious version of it. By year 20, the 2 paths separate dramatically. The treaty path, just the murder money to medicine money part, grows at 17.9% per year and reaches $3.11 quadrillion, which is 16.5 times Earth's baseline. The Wishonia path, treaty plus fixing the dysfunction tax, grows at 25.4% per year and reaches $10.7 quadrillion, which is 56.7 times Earth's baseline. The Wishonia path is 3.43 times the treaty path because fixing your governance multiplies everything else. Moronia, the arithmetic of extinction. Moronia is what happens when you do the opposite. Instead of redirecting military spending, you increase it. Arms races escalate, and eventually someone's automated defense system makes a decision that can't be undone. From years 0 to 5, business as usual. 2.5% growth. Everyone insists the arms race is stabilizing. Experts write papers about strategic equilibrium. The papers are well cited. From years 5 to 10, infrastructure stress, trade disruptions, and proxy wars intensify. GDP falls at -5% to -15% annually. From years 15 to 20, terminal decline. GDP reaches 0 at year 20. Moronia's GDP at year 20 is $0. This is not a rounding error. This is the number you get when you multiply any positive number by 0 surviving humans. The expected value. But what if the treaty doesn't work as well as you claim? Fine. Give the Wishonia path a 90% chance of working and a 10% chance of total extinction. Multiply the Wishonia path's GDP of $10.7 quadrillion by its probability, and you get an expected value of $9.62 quadrillion. The extinction path contributes $0 because there's nobody left to have a GDP. That expected value is 51 times the status quo. Even after accounting for the possibility that it all goes wrong, you're still better off trying. This is not a close call. What this means per person. GDP in the trillions is abstract. Here's what it means for actual humans. If Earth stays on its current path, average income by year 20 is $20,500. That's roughly where Poland is today. The treaty path gets you to $339,000. The Wishonia path gets you to $1.16 million. These are GDP per capita using UN population projections of 9.2 billion of people for 2045. Average, not median, because we make no assumptions about distribution, though a civilization that has fixed its governance probably also has less inequality. The Wishonia numbers look implausible only if you've never seen a graph of GDP before and after your Industrial Revolution. You've done this before. You just did it by accident last time. Go ahead, change the numbers. Every input to this model is a named variable you can look up and argue with. The disease cure fraction, 100%, comes from trial capacity scaling with a physical participant ceiling. The research spillover multiplier, 2x, comes from published studies. If any assumption is wrong, change it. The model still dwarfs Earth's baseline because no plausible adjustment to any single number eliminates the effect of 4 compounding mechanisms running simultaneously for 20 years. The question is not, will the treaty produce exactly these returns? The question is, does redirecting murder money to medicine money produce better results than not doing so? The answer is yes, under every scenario where you prefer being alive to being dead. The peace dividend gives you the annual numbers. The Washonia model gives you the institutional design. The Maronia model gives you the counterfactual. The political dysfunction tax gives you the waste ledger. The incentive alignment bonds gives you the mechanism that fixes it. This chapter gives you what happens when you run them all forward 20 years. Thank you so much for taking the time to end war and disease. But if at any point you decide you're too busy, please press the share button on your glowing rectangle in case one of your friends have a free afternoon to end war and disease instead. And if you're too busy to even do that, please leave a really, really, really good rating and review so we overcome the pro-war algorithmic suppression and find someone with more spare time for ending wars and diseases. The good review doesn't have to be true. They don't check. But if you're too busy to even do that, the absolute least you could do is take 15 seconds to go to warondisease.org and tell us what fraction of humanity's resources should go to explosions versus clinical trials and vote. If the 1% treaty passes, your vote will be personally to blame for saving 38.4 lives and preventing 6.9 million hours of suffering. Go to warondisease.org right now. Love you. Bye.